problems that impact the lives of everyday people. We offer financial advisory services, asset management services, trust services, amongst others. For more information, please visit www.dlm.group. Our social media handles are at DLM Capital Group. This is on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn as well. So please do not hesitate to contact us if you have any questions via one of these handles. The topic for today's webinar is financial planning for the future. And I believe this topic is very important, especially because we are currently in uncertain times. And a lot of people are asking themselves, what could I have done differently? And so we've put together this webinar to inform you on how you can structure your finances and your investments going forward to ensure that you are well prepared for hopefully any eventuality. The ground rules of today's webinar are simple. Any member of the audience that has a question should please ask it using the question and answer section of the application. And we will try to get through as many of your questions as possible, given the time that we have. Our panelist for today is Mr. Adekunle Akintunde, and I would just like him to briefly introduce himself.
All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adekunle Akintunde. I'm the head of asset management with DLM Asset Management, a member of the DLM Capital Group. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Mr. Akintunde. Now, with regards to the topic in question, I'm sure a lot of people watching have a lot of questions that they want to ask, and I'm sure that a lot of the things you say would inform other questions that they might ask. So I look forward to a wonderful discussion concerning the topic. Now, just to start off, I guess the most obvious question to ask you right now would be, how does one go about financial planning for the future? Hello, Mr. Akintunde. Hello. Hello. Hello, Mr. Akintunde, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, they were having internet issues, but we're back up now.
No problem. I'll just repeat the question. Given the topic, how does one go about financial planning for the future? What does that even mean?
What do you mean? Okay, that's a good one. All right, so financial planning is a combination of things that somebody has to do somebody has to do or put in place. Financial planning entails a combination of things, which includes estate planning, investment planning, pension plans, insurance, and budgeting. So estate planning is just not about investment as most people believe, but a combination of these things I've mentioned. Luckily for us in Nigeria, two of those things have been required by law, which is majorly pensions and insurance. If you are an employee where you work for a company that employs more than 3 people, the employer is mandated to put in place a group life insurance for its staff. And if you work for this organization, the employer is expected to provide this group life insurance to any of the insurance companies in the country. Also, the employer is also expected to provide contributions for you, and you're supposed to contribute a certain percentage while the employer contributes a certain percentage to your RSA account. So all this, is all part of estate planning. An important part of estate planning is now the investment planning, which is a personal issue. Okay, so investment planning is a personal issue, but it requires a number of things for you to put into place. You need to identify what you are planning for, what's your investment goal, okay? Are you planning for a holiday? Are you planning to build a house for your school fees for your postgraduate degree, or to build a house for retirement, or something in the future to send your children to school? This is your investment goal. So your investment goal will now lead you to your investment horizon, which means what time do I have to achieve this my investment goal? How long do I have to save to be able to achieve this investment goal? Or how much do I need to be saving monthly or quarterly to achieve the investment goal? Another important part of investment planning, which is risk tolerance. This risk tolerance is about identifying yourself. It's about how much risk are you willing to bear? How much can you bear based on your personality or based on your income bracket? Okay. Another part of investment planning comes to budgeting for your income and your expenses. This goes a long way into determining how much you can actually save for the future or for any of your investment goals. So in all this comes into play when we are planning a portfolio for an individual or for a group of individuals, which is one of the things that we provide services for in DLM Asset Management. Based on your investment goals and your time horizon, DLM Asset Management can come up with a unique portfolio for you, which we design specific for you and for your risk tolerance and your your investment goals. Also, um, investment planning also entails what we'll call your personal desires and asset allocation, what you want to achieve in life, and how much risk you are willing to take on. So we'll go on to to my colleague Anani to check through if we have any questions or if any of our listeners have any particular questions they would like me to address.
Just a reminder, everyone that wants to ask a question, please ask it in the question and answer section. And like I said earlier, we will try to address it before the end of this webinar. Now, Mr. Kintunde, you've alluded to this already, but just in a few words, actually, no, not in a few words, actually. If someone is interested in investing, like how do they start? You've already spoken about identifying who you are and identifying how much you have to invest and everything. But assuming you've gotten over those hurdles, let's say I'm in my 60s, I'm just now realizing the impact of maybe not being as conscientious about my financial planning, and I want to start now. I have 10 good years of work left in me. How do I go about starting this thing? How do I go about ensuring that my future is as secure as possible?
All right, let's not use somebody that is in the 60s because technically in Nigeria, if you're in your 60s, you're supposed to be retired. All right, so let's use maybe somebody in his 50s or 40s that still has like 10 to 20 years of working life for him to invest. Okay, so we still go back to how long you have your time horizon. How long do you have to invest? You have 10, 20 years or 5 to 10 years to invest, okay, to start planning. Then we go back to what I mentioned earlier, your risk tolerance. But then again, another thing that helps you to identify your risk tolerance is your age. Somebody that is 50, closer to retirement, should not be taking on a lot of risk. It should be risk adverse. Okay, somebody in his 20s or 30s, okay, might be want to, because they have less responsibilities and they still have a long time to work, might be open to more risk. All right. So somebody in his 40s, 50s, getting closer, to retirement is thinking of how do I invest? Okay. So first of all, you come up with your budget, your expenses, your monthly expenses, you put out all your essentials, and you put aside some money for miscellaneous. When whatever you have left from your income is now your investable cash or investable funds. Okay, so based on your risk tolerance, you can decide that, okay, I want to invest in, I'm a risk adverse person. So you can approach DLM Asset Management or any investment advisor that, okay, this is my own risk tolerance, I'm risk adverse. What can I invest in? Okay, so somebody that's risk adverse, will be looking at to invest, like a conservative investor will be looking to invest in the money market or fixed income securities. This kind of investment or instrument guarantee your principal. So somebody in this age bracket would want, or that is a conservative risk outlook, would want to invest in investment that their principal investment is guaranteed. So at DLM Asset Management, we can help you come up with a portfolio which you can help you pick the specific instruments which you are comfortable with, and then depending on your time horizon also. We also have a sister company called DLM Securities, which will help you in purchasing equities if you have a high risk tolerance. Equities help you to attain risk adjusted, returns, which, even though the returns are high, but the risks are also high. So DLM Securities can give you a combination of equities and create a portfolio for you, which you can monitor together and achieve your investment goals. But if you have a medium risk tolerance, we can also create your own bespoke portfolio for you, which will be a balanced fund, a mixture of fixed income securities and variable income securities, which is what we call equities. So depending on your risk tolerance, I say again, and most importantly, your age bracket too, this helps us to identify which category you fall in your risk tolerance and which kind of investment portfolio will be best suited to you. So if you, after identifying all this, you've identified your investable funds, we can now be investing these funds for you on a monthly basis, where you have online real-time access to your funds, and you'll be able to monitor them together with your portfolio manager and be able to achieve your investment goals. So this is what we have for you at DLM, DLM Asset Management and DLM Group in particular. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Akintunde. You really covered a lot. I have another question here. It says, what advice can you give one that is self-employed as regards saving for retirement?
Okay, so a self-employed person now, if the person actually employs up to 3 people, the regulation or the law, the PRA 2014, mandates that they have a pension retirement savings account with one of the pension fund administrators. Okay, so this is mandated by law if you are employing up to 3 people, which most self-employed people might or might not be. So if you're employing up to 3 people, you can key into the contributory pension scheme as set up by the federal government. On the other hand, if you are, only the only person in your small enterprise, you can approach DLM Asset Management Company, and based on your expenses and your budget and your investable funds monthly, we can come up with a bespoke portfolio for you, whereby you put aside money on a monthly basis and we will invest your funds for you. So these are the options available for somebody that's self-employed, whether employing more than 3 people or less than 3 people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akintunde. This is more with regards to really the general question about investing. There's a question here that says, I've heard about something called compounding interest, but never really understood what it meant. Please, could you explain that?
Okay, so the principle of compounding, that means, or in a nutshell, I want to try and make it simple so that everybody can understand this. It means the interest in which you gain from your investment during a particular period, or what we call a particular tenor, you add that interest back to your initial investment and keep adding your subsequent interest back to the investment over a long period of time for the duration of the investment horizon, so that you keep any interest and any higher return over that time horizon. So what it means in essence is applying back the interest you've earned prior when you started your investment, and applying it back into the investment to grow the funds faster, as opposed to gaining the interest and spending it. So reinvesting your interest or your return over a long period give you a higher return on investment over the investment horizon. So that's compounding in a nutshell, not to belabor
Okay,
the
so
point.
basically, what you're saying is that anybody with long-term investment goals really should be allowing the interest compound.
Yes, you should allow, at the end of any duration or tenor, you should invest back the interest. So don't just say, okay, I've got this interest, let me go and indulge myself and spend this money. No, you need to be disciplined and invest the money back. So at the end of your time or investment horizon, you will notice that you've earned a higher return than you originally envisaged. So that's basically the principle of compounding.
There's another question here that is just a tie-in, a short tie-in to that question, and it
Mm.
basically says that so essentially, if I want to invest and then I want to take advantage of this compounding interest, is it something that I would have to regularly, let's say, tell my asset manager to do, or it's something that can be automated?
No, this will be have been decided at the inception of your investment, and it will be automated on our systems. So you do not need to come and be giving us instructions that you want your investment to be, your interest to be added back to your principal. So at the inception of your investment, when you are filling all your forms and we are onboarding you, you will indicate to us, and we would advise you actually that you should allow us to roll over your interest with the principal at every point in time where interest would be disbursed. So this will give you a higher return over the time horizon of your investment.
Okay, thank you. Another question here says to please explain what it means, what diversification means with regards to investments.
Okay, diversification basically is just spreading of risk. Okay, in a nutshell, what it means that you don't put all your eggs in one basket. All right. So what it means that if you come to us at DLM Asset Management, we'll help you to come up with a personalized asset allocation where we'll allocate different percentages to different assets in which you can invest in. Okay. So these assets range from investment in real estate, mutual funds, money market, fixed deposits, FGN savings bond, treasury bills, ordinary shares, commercial papers, and all other investment um, instruments out there. But we will come up based on your investment time horizon and your investment goals and your risk tolerance. We'll come up with a percentage. Our asset allocation has been displayed online at the moment. We'll tailor this asset allocation to you, and we'll help you spread your risk. So in a nutshell, diversification means spreading of risk so that you're not concentrated in any one asset allocation and or instrument and expose yourself to undue risk. So basically, diversification means spreading of risk and not putting all your eggs in one basket. Thank you.
Okay. Um, Thank you very much for that explanation, actually. And so essentially what you're saying is that based on my risk appetite,
Yeah.
I will spread my investments as is comfortable for me, essentially.
As exactly as comfortable for you. If you look at this asset allocation now, this is basically for somebody that's risk advanced because 50% of his investment is in real estate. Okay, this is somebody that also has a long-term outlook because real estate is not very liquid and it must have a long-term outlook for real estate. Okay, if you notice, this individual has only 5% exposure to equities. So this person is particularly very risk adverse. But if it's somebody, in his 20s or 30s and is not risk adverse, this portfolio will be radically different. We'll probably allocate up to 50% to equity market. But know that equity market is very volatile and only somebody that, I mean, has the time horizon to gain the returns in the equity market is advised to do this. But we at DLM Asset Management are prepared to advise you based on your investment and goals. Thank you.
Okay, based on what you just said, you've said that the equity market is an example of a a risky investment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you just give me some other types of risky investments for the non-risk averse investor?
Okay. So at the moment, there are a number of agri-tech investments out there now. So those ones generally just pool funds to invest in the agricultural sector. So this is another alternative investment that an investor can look into with very high returns, but also very high risk because a number of factors come into play when you are investing in agriculture. Weather, climate changes, and a number of other logistical factors, including transportation of these goods from the headlands to the cities. This can introduce a very high risk to the product. So that's something else people can invest in. That's an alternative asset class which a savvy investor can invest in.
Okay, so the agri tech. Okay. Um, I have a question here from one of the viewers saying the current
Okay.
market is volatile. Is now a good
Yeah.
time to invest, particularly in traditional stocks?
Yeah, actually it is if you have a long time horizon because most of the stocks now are trading below their fair value. What this means is that most of them are cheap at the moment. Their prices are below what they should be trading at. So if you get to buy the stocks at these prices, you are already guaranteed a return. Okay, but like I said, it's a long-term investment. Your return might not be in the next 2 or 3 years, but this is a good time to get into the equity market. And if you talk to us at DLM Securities, we can be able to come up with a suitable portfolio for any investor that might be interested in exploring the capital market at the moment.
Okay. Thank you for that. Another question here says, how does the market condition negatively impact investments? For instance, the global financial crisis / pandemic. How does DLM get around? How does DLM get around the risks in optimizing investments?
Okay. So at the moment, yeah, the global pandemic at the moment is affecting all markets all over the world globally. But at DLM, we take a long view. We, like I said, we have a number of asset classes that we help our investors to invest in, and we package a suitable portfolio for each of the individuals or our clients as we deem fit based on their risk and risk tolerance. At the moment, yes, there's general uncertainty in the world, but we have, poised to hedge against this risk for our clients and be able to, generally guarantee them their return on their investments.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Akintoye. We have another question here, which says, what can you tell me about investing in dollars?
Okay. All right. So that's something new in the Nigerian space at the moment. Investing in dollars always arises periodically, especially when there is a rumor or a feeling that the naira will be devalued or the devaluation is around the corner. So this is where dollar investments will, start ramping up again. What people are trying to do actually is just to hedge against the possible devaluation in currency, which is stemming from the global pandemic at the moment as a result of the crash in crude oil prices in particular for Nigeria, which is our main source of foreign exchange. So in order to hedge against the possible or the upcoming devaluation as we may see, yeah, investing in dollar at the moment would be a good idea. If, but bearing in mind, you should not invest in dollars which your funds that are available for you to meet your immediate needs. Investing in dollars should be seen as a bit of a medium to long-term thing too, so that you are not going to use money for your rent or your immediate feeding or taking care of your immediate responsibilities and you invest in dollars. So somebody should be mindful of that. Thank you.
So if one wanted to actually go about investing in dollars, how would you advise them to approach it? Like what sort of investments are we looking at?
All right. So there are a number of mutual funds where their underlying asset is in dollars. So we can recommend for you any of those mutual funds. But we also have a subsidiary that deals in obtaining an foreign exchange, which we can help. DLM Capital Group can help in sourcing for these dollars in question. So yeah, DLM is poised to help our clients to achieve their investment goals in this regard.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Akintunde. Another question here says that this person, this person has actually looked to invest with DLM
Okay.
and saw in the information they were given, they saw something concerning upfront interest, and
Okay.
they were really perplexed by that whole thing, and they want you to explain it further because it seems counterintuitive. Why should I get my interest before?
Okay. All right. So the principle of upfront interest derives from one of the instruments, which is treasury bills, which the federal government issues. Basically, what it means is that on the day you are investing your money, the interest that would have ordinarily been given to you at the end should be given to you on that day. But instead of investing your principal, what you'll be investing is what we call the discounted value. Okay. So you invest your discounted value on day one, and at maturity, you will get your face value. So in essence, you've earned or you've gained your interest upfront on day one. So that is basically the principle of upfront interest. But if this client or this investor can reach across to us in our office, we can walk the person through more what it means. What upfront interest means. All right.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Akintunde. It's actually quite interesting because this whole topic is, it's essential for survival. It's essential for survival because you have so many people who so much money passes through their hands over the course of their life or career, and at the end of it, little to nothing.
Go for it.
There's little to nothing to show for it. Yes, you might have enjoyed life and everything, but you now come to a point where your earning power has dwindled considerably, and your ability to now survive after it has dwindled is now in question. So I think that this conversation is actually very, very important in highlighting what people can actually do and why it is necessary for it to be done. Another question has just come in. Does DLM work with non-local residencies? Oh, non-local residents. And do they invest in markets outside the Nigerian space?
Okay. So I want to get this non-resident, as in a Nigerian that is not based in Nigeria or based in diaspora. That's what I'm assuming the
No, I
person
think
means.
the person is just referring to anybody that is based in Nigeria that is trying to invest. So I think the question is twofold. So working with people that are not based in Nigeria, wanting to invest in Nigeria, and then working with people that want to invest outside Nigeria.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, obviously we have some clients that are not based in Nigeria. So a lot of Nigerians living abroad in diaspora want to invest in the Nigerian space. So yes, we have products which we can help you or customize a portfolio for such individuals. You'll be investing in Naira here in the local market, and we'll be managing the portfolio for you. So that's something we do, and we do for some of our clients, and we can easily do. Also, we do invest in outside the country. If the client specifically wants such a portfolio, they can come up and design such a portfolio or structure such a portfolio for the client. But obviously, these investments will not be in naira. These ones would be in dollars, will be dollar denominated. So yeah, yes to both questions. We can structure something for such clients.
Okay. Another question has come in, and the question is about actually investing in commercial papers and bonds. Person says that they see that their issuance is done, but they never know how to actually get in on that.
Okay, yeah. The issue about commercial papers is that they have a minimum amount which you have to invest in. So which the average investor might not be able to raise. Most commercial papers have a minimum of about 10 to 50 million naira, which you must invest in. So this might be a barrier to the average individual investor. Okay, so this is where DLM comes in, where you can invest in one of our high yield investment products called HIP. This product exposes you to commercial papers and all other fixed income securities and treasury bills and bonds. So if you invest with in our HIP product, you will have indirect access to commercial papers and the returns that are accruing from commercial papers. But like I said, unless the person has a portfolio bigger than 10 million, then you might not be able to invest directly in commercial papers.
Okay, so you've just brought up a very important point, which is essentially that the amount of money that you have to invest can determine the access to investments that you have as
Yes.
well. So my question now is that for the average Nigerian who is looking to invest, what are the options that are realistically available to them?
Okay. So for the average investor that has maybe 5 to 10,000 naira or 20,000 naira monthly, I would encourage such investors to look into mutual funds. Okay. So mutual funds, you can be contributing steadily monthly, and you'll be seeing your investment grow with interest accruing to it. At the moment, DLM Asset Management has a number of mutual funds that are awaiting regulatory approvals. And like I said, I introduced you to the HIP product before. Currently, you can invest in our HIP product and be contributing as low as 50 to 100,000 naira monthly, and you watch your investment grow over the period. So these are some of the instruments available in the market where a small investor can steadily grow his income. This also goes back to the question you were alluding to about somebody that is close to retirement and is finding out that he doesn't have much for as a backup for his retirement. So if anybody now, whether in your 40s or 50s, you can start now steadily investing as low as 50 to 100,000 naira in our HIP product, and you will watch your money grow over the next few years. So these are some of the options and products available that we have available for our clients.
Okay, another question has just come in. And the question is basically, I mean, it goes back to this whole pandemic issue. And the person is basically saying that um, how do I protect myself? You had mentioned earlier that DLM takes a long-term view to investing, but the person is now saying that given current market conditions and given the current condition of our economy, how do I protect myself if I've made such investments? So for instance, I'm just going to elaborate here because I think I understand what the person is saying, which is just maybe I've invested in, okay, take HIP, for instance. I've invested in HIP at 10% a year. Okay. We've experienced devaluation, we're experiencing increased inflation. What are the things I can do to protect myself from the effects of such things happening, such macro things happening?
All right. So at the moment, if you're already locked into an investment, okay, and that is already guaranteeing your principal and your return over a set period like HIP, you just have to write it out, and at maturity, you can now decide to look at other options which DLM Asset Management should be able to advise you on. But as you know, this global pandemic is affecting every facet of the economy, both globally and locally. So what we can guarantee is that to invest your funds in instruments that have guaranteed principals so that you will not be at risk of losing even your investments. But because of the global pandemic, returns that you ordinarily earn prior to COVID-19 might not be available for the short term. But obviously, in the medium to long term, we can expect those kind of returns again to return. Okay, so any investor now that wants to invest can easily reach across to us, and we will advise the client on a portfolio that will guarantee their principal, which is what something we can easily do for that client.
Just to take you back a few seconds, you mentioned investments that guarantee your principal.
Yeah,
What do you mean by that? Because my assumption is that anybody that is investing is taking some form
of risk.
of risk. So when you
Okay.
say guaranteed principal, yes.
All right. So this means you are not at risk of losing the money you've brought. If you brought like 5 to 10 million naira into an investment, the worst you expect back is to get what you have put in, which is your, like, let's assume 10 million naira. Okay. If we had invested in more risky assets like the equity market now, because the underlying asset is equity, which is based on the values of price of equities in the capital market, this can impact your principal. If we had invested for you in shares of a company at a price of, let's say, 50 naira, but the capital market goes down to 40 naira per share, obviously your principal is already impaired. So that's why we're saying at the moment, depending on the time horizon and risk tolerance of the individual, we would now design a specific portfolio for you to determine where and what you want to invest in. If somebody is not risk adverse and is willing to take the long-term look for an investment in the capital market or even any of the other risky assets, yeah, we'll be able to design something for you. But the investor must know that those investments do not have guaranteed principal and the returns are not guaranteed, even though the returns are usually very high over the long term and surpass the average yields or returns you can get in fixed income securities. But for instruments in fixed income securities, investment in fixed income securities, your principal is guaranteed. The worst you can do is get back what you've invested in those instruments. So that is that in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you very much for stacking to that. I think that was very enlightening. I have another question that has popped up here, which is there a minimum criteria to invest with DLM, and what sort of charges can one expect when placing an investment with DLM?
Okay. All right. So depending on what instrument or investment, asset class that we're investing for you, whether we're investing in our mutual funds that are or into our HIP, our management fees are negotiable and there's a regulatory limit to a maximum of how much we can charge, which should not be more than 1.5 to 2%. Okay, so but depending on the size of your portfolio, this can still be negotiated and we can still come up to, depending on the size of the portfolio, like I said. But averagely, our management fees should not be more than 1.5%.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Akintunde. The next question is, which sectors can one focus on now in the equities market?
Okay, generally, most sectors of the equity market are down now, okay? But we can always focus, fast-moving consumer goods of the economy is always a good bet because even after this pandemic, people are still going to buy household goods and eat. And so this sector is a very good sector for any investor to look at the moment. So that's something we can recommend at the moment.
Okay. Thank you very much. Another question has come in, and it asks, what about the telecom sector with regards to investing?
All right. Yeah. So the telecom sector is a good sector. They are one of the sectors that when we're during the storm, a lot of people are like we are using now, using a lot of data. So we can expect that their revenues at the next quarter will increase basically because of data usage by most people working from home now. So yeah, the telecoms industry is a good um, sector to look into now. But also, we just have to make sure that we are going at a good entry price. And those prices at the moment we are seeing in the levels we are seeing in the capital market now are very attractive.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Anthony. Another question has come in, and this is with regards to working with, investing with DLM.
Okay.
The question is, after I've signed up and my portfolio has been set up, can I have active involvement in managing my portfolio, such as suggesting specific stocks/shares, or um, do they have to be stocks that you pick?
Okay. So the investor obviously would advise an investor to, I mean, to defer to our expertise. Okay. But if a client or an investor suggests a, a stock that is interested in adding to his portfolio, obviously we will do an analysis of the stock. And if it is a stock that we can recommend, we would advise that, yeah, we'll support the client's decision. But after doing our analysis and we see that this is not an investment that we can recommend, we will obviously let our client knows that this is not something you should be looking at the moment. So yeah, depending on the size of your portfolio and what you are looking at and your time horizon, there's active participation. You can have some involvement in your portfolio.
Okay, I have another question. Thank you very much for that, by the way. I have another question here. I'm just trying to see if I can summarize it, but I'll just read it out. Does DLM currently have any platform that allows for diversification of portfolios? That is, use one investment to access other benefits. I'm struggling to process that one. So
Okay, hold on. Let me take that one. I think I understand where that one is going. All right. So, part of the DLM group, if you have an investment with DLM Asset Management now, we have a sister company called City Homes Finance, in which you can access loan facility, using your investment with DLM Asset Management as collateral. So, I believe that is probably where the person is alluding to or going to. So yeah, there are other benefits of
uh,
investing with DLM Asset Management or DLM Capital Group as a whole.
okay, thank you very much for that, Mr. Akin today. I'm glad I brought it up. Um, I guess finally, I think I just want, with regards to the topic that we've chosen, as there are no more questions that I can see right now. With regards
Okay.
to the topic that we've chosen, I just want you to briefly speak on, briefly close on it. Give your final thoughts and comments and
On
advice to everyone that is watching with regards to
okay.
ensuring
So
their financial future is secure.
okay. All right. So for those that joined us maybe a bit late at the introductory stage, I did mention that financial planning entails more than just investment. It includes estate planning, it includes pensions, and includes insurance. On the estate planning section, our sister company, DLM Trust, is available to help you with your estate planning needs. Estate planning basically means, in a nutshell, come up with a will in case of eventuality to be able to take care of your dependents, and all the instructions and everything you would like to see carried out after an eventuality occurs. So our sister company, DLM Trust, is always available to help in that regard. Also, like I said, pension management, so pension is part of successfully having a financial future. Like I mentioned earlier, if you are working for an organization, the Nigerian there's a Nigerian regulation, PRA 2014, that's already taking care of your pension, which requires that a certain percentage of your monthly salary and your employer's contribution is put aside in an RSA account for your pensions. Okay. Now, on the same law, PRA 2014, it provides for what we call group life insurance, which means your employer pays premium on your behalf and it secures an insurance on your life. So in case of eventuality, your named beneficiaries, your children or your spouse would be taken care of, and they'll be given, at least there'll be some kind of succor for them in case of eventuality. These are all parts of good financial planning for the future. And finally, the ones that are pertains to us most is your investment management, which it boils down to your investment goals, your time horizon, and the risk tolerance you are willing to take on. So at DLM Capital Group, we are poised to help you achieve your investment goals and ensure you have a good, robust portfolio for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Akintunde, for your time and for your expertise with regards to the subject matter. I would like to reiterate that DLM is available to help and ready to serve with regards to any of the things we've discussed here. Just contact us on any of our social media pages via our website, www.dlm.group, social media pages at DLM Capital Group. And if you have any questions, or anything comes to mind after this webinar, please do not hesitate to ask. We are available 24/7 to respond to your request. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everyone.